More on social dynamics. Social dynamics are great. You can get them. You should be able to get them. You need to be able to realize that it doesn't matter where you're at. It does not matter. You can learn to connect with people. Now, we've done this over and over again. I don't care if you have a learning disability. If you're willing to learn and you can show up and do our process, you will get it. So this is actually something where we're going to be explaining some advanced rapport techniques from that are covered in the Formula 69 program. And of course, if you do TSL online, you're good to go. So there's many different ways to do that. But even if you just did get involved with the Instant Connection course or the Formula 69 course, well, really the Formula 69 course, this would be something that is, this is something that is like absolutely important for you to understand that you could get. All right. So that being said, we're going to break this down. This is what we call a rapport cycle that will be able to, hit to the core of somebody so freaking fast. Now, to understand this actually came from a question from our TSL online board, which is a super top secret private board that we don't share any information. So unless you're on TSL online, you didn't see this. But this guy brought up a question and he said, man, I ask people about open-mindedness and people just give me this blind answer and they say yes. And they don't ever tell me anything about themselves. Why isn't this working? Well, this is actually a great situation. And the reason why it's a great situation is because we can predict it. We know that it's going to happen. So this happens all the time where we get superficial answers from people, but we don't get, their expression. Okay. So that's anytime you ask a question, say, hey, how's your day? And they say, oh, fine. And it's not their real expression. Or if we even say like, what are you passionate about? And they say art. Now that could be true, but we haven't really heard about their passion. So this is a consistent problem. And in this case, he's asking about open-mindedness. All right. And everybody just says yes. All right. And there's so many different, this is like awesome. You could, like, I hate to use the word trap in a social dynamics realm. It would be it because I could say like, man, I can't talk to you. Like, you're the most closed-minded person I know. Because I know they're going to say, I am not. And then I'll say, prove it. Really, you are. You're open-minded. Do you even know what that means? Okay. Maybe with your friends or judging your friends like sexually and what they did, you're open-minded. But when it comes to like politics, you're not, or whatever it is. Like, do you really think that? So I could get somebody in a discussion that I want to very easily. And in there, even bring up things like sex and sexuality, because open-mindedness always revolves. Like whenever anybody's answering and saying that they're open-minded, they're not saying that they're truly open-minded in the phenomenon of that. They're actually saying that they don't judge themselves or their friends, or they wish they weren't judged about deep and important things about their lives. Their image usually connects to sexuality. So open-mindedness is a great thing. Now, also what you're going to see at the end of this is we're not even going to get an answer from them, but we're going to get a feeling. So that may sound confusing, but this is why you have to go out and try it in field. So we're going to get a feeling from them. And in that feeling, we can then qualify, we can get intent, we can get rapport, whatever. We can really build a frame essentially of the dynamic and it'll just be like, boom, melting emotionally. So let's go through this with as little description as possible, which is always hard for me because I want you guys to understand it to get where we're at. Okay. And now in this, we're actually showing off. You could simplify it much more, but I'm showing off because I wanted the guy to get the specific techniques I'm talking about and where you can find them in the Formula 69 course, which is in videos 3, 4, and 9, mainly video 9. So we start off with a question that he runs into here of like, hey, are you open-minded? And they say yes. They almost always say yes, or give you some BS answer. So now you're just going to ground and you're going to say, look, everybody says that, but they don't really realize the depth of what I'm asking. And open-minded is one of the greatest things. It actually, to me, it means to delay judgment and process everything for yourself. Yeah, it sounds confusing, right? So they're like, what the fuck? Why are you making this so? They're looking at you funny. All right. So you say, okay, let me make this clear. Now, what we're doing is we're going to do a technique called accessing a memory. And we talk about this in Formula 69. So we say, look, do you remember like when you were a kid and you learned like your greatest lesson from like whoever your favorite relative was? Like, who was your favorite relative? So they'll say, for me personally, it was my grandmother. Okay. So it's my grandmother. All right. A very easy thing for somebody to answer, and somebody will be able to imagine that person and be able to access like very distinct memories of that person. Not all of them, but they'll be able to get certain things very, very quickly. So we now want to start talking about those so that it could benefit our expression of open-mindedness. Now, again, if this sounds complex, go back to Formula 69 and we'll show you how to do it. And also attend the calls, or if you're a part of our membership program, attend the calls and ask about this. We'll get you to do it. I don't care where you're at. This is easy to do. It's just hard when you haven't done it. Okay. It's very easy to do once you step-by-step learn it in the way that we teach it. Okay. So now we're just going to walk through this memory. We say, look, okay, so do you remember that there was something that they did, that your grandmother did, that you just didn't understand? Like it could have been like when, I don't know, she was confused, or maybe she was in pain or something, or when she would, just be more loving to you than your other relatives. Like you didn't get it until you were a little bit older. All right. Because you didn't understand it. In a sense, it was like you had that immediate judgment, but it was in the delay of it that took decades. It taught you something else. And now just think, now we're going to do another technique called listing of threes. And if you go to the podcast right up on this, I'll put this all in there for you so you can follow along and you can do it and practice it, and you can rewrite it and make it your own and all that sort of stuff, because that's really what you got to do. And so in this listing of threes, we're going to list three things that, again, are easy memories to get. They'll get it right away. So you just got done with the grandma part, and you say, like, you just couldn't understand what she was doing, or maybe your imagination thought it was one thing, but when you got older and realized what it like made sense. And so what if you could delay judgment like that with your last boyfriend, or in some political situation, or even like whatever pissed you off tonight, like you got in a fight with your friend or whatever it was. Like if you could just delay judgment and have an understanding like you did with your grandmother, now we're going to move to a hard qualifier. We're going to challenge. Okay. But we're not done there. Okay. We've just painted this picture. They've followed us along. And if you've listened to our other stuff, it's not just about getting somebody to follow you. It's not about power. It's not about compliance. It's not about all this shit Pickup says. All right. It's about actually getting them to a point where they can open up to be themselves, where we can interact with that. So once we get that, then we can start expressing ourselves and they can start exchanging with us. And we're going to do it at an extremely high level. Okay. So we're going to say like, so look, let me ask you this. All right. What's the one thing in your life that you are just the most proud of, but people don't understand? And like the real question here is your biggest fears of judgment wrapped around showing that expression. Man, what if there wasn't that judgment? What if you didn't have to be afraid of it and you could just show that to people? What would that be? All right. So there's a couple things happening there actually that are interesting. If you, in just even how this is worded, and again, you should rewrite this because I want you to do it in your own style. And there's plenty of TSL online alumni that have done this in their own style, but they all learned it from me. And I have this kind of windy way of doing things. And they've improved it by doing it their own way. But this is how I teach it. Is I'm saying like, let me ask you this. What's like the thing you're most proud of? Boom, they get it. They may be afraid to tell you, but they can understand it. And it would be like, what's the thing you're most proud of? Oh my God, my family, but I can't tell this guy, a strange guy asking me. Then I'm asking them another question. I'm saying, but what if like the fears around being judged for that, like that gets in the way of your blockage of expression, gets it immediately. What are you afraid of in terms of judgment? What do you fear people judging you as? And even if I can't get that, they don't fully understand, I could just list some threes. Like the thing your last boyfriend judged you on, or the thing that your mom would judge you on, or, just that thing that gets in the way of you being you. Everybody gets that. Boom, got it. All right. So that's very important. Okay. And again, it's a lot of stuff, but to the guy who I'm writing this for, he can very easily do it because he's followed us step by step. After 3-4 months, he's able to get and understand this to be able to perform it with people in field or in his interactions of life or whatever you want to call it. But we don't even end there. We do something called a double stack, which is also in video 9 of Formula 69. And it's this. You say, in fact, here's a better question. If you took judgment out of who you are, what would they see? Like what would your last boyfriend see? What would your parents see? And then what would you see? So at this point, we have walked somebody into so much of the depth of them. All right. They haven't even told us anything. They haven't told us anything really. They don't need to tell us much. They need to say like, yeah, I'm open-minded. And they need to tell us their relative's name. And they don't even need to do that. And they can talk within this, of course, but you could just go through this, and this whole time they've had an experience with you. They've gone from imagining their favorite relative. Now it's like, don't get all NLP hypnosis, like just more or less see this as this great experience that they've had with you. Okay. An experience of their emotion that they've processed within themselves having with you. That's all that's really important. But just to break down, they've imagined their favorite relative. They've imagined their misinterpretation of that. They've imagined, even parts of their night, which it's in the listing of threes. We're asking your last boyfriend, a political situation, or when you last got pissed off tonight. So these are all experiences and feelings that they're having along with us. Okay. And don't get too NLP with it, because a lot of times when people talk about like NLP or hypnosis, they prize that too much. Okay. When really this is just a human phenomenon. You don't even need those techniques to get there with this human phenomenon. The human phenomenon is what's important. Okay. So then we get this challenge of like, wow, what if what you were most proud of wasn't judged? You didn't have to worry about that. And then we challenge it even more and we say, well, if you didn't have to worry about that judgment, who would you be? Who would you be in your love? Can imagine that. Who would you be with your family? Can imagine that. Who would you be you right now? Can imagine that. All of that, I don't even need them to answer. I don't need them to answer at all. And most of the time, you're not going to get an answer. If you get an answer, they may not even be deep enough. But whether you get an answer or not, all you have to do is say, wow, you know what? Whatever. It doesn't matter. I saw the real you right there. And that was fucking awesome. That was amazing. That was beautiful. I don't know you. I don't know what you do or whatever, but I know that there's something missing that every man who talks to you does not see. And it's fucked up. All the times that you've experienced beauty and love, you didn't have the right person in front of you to fully get you, man. They're like, God, let me just ask you this. I'd even move to this qualifier because this is one where I know it's going to get right there. So just let me ask you this. Like, when was the last time, like when you were touched? Like, I'm sure you've had good sex. I'm sure you've had good kisses and all that stuff, but you knew that that person was moving in you and that the whole world felt it. And I bet you've been there, but the guy didn't feel it like how you felt it. And it was like the biggest turnoff and disappointment. So this is all moving into stuff that, it's like gets into experience with female and female psychology and relationships and all sort of stuff. But this is where you get, and this is where we want you to get to, where you can very easily in just a short time go through a simple stack like this that you can very easily customize to yourself. Once you get the social dynamics and once you get some improvisational and stage legs with actually like going out and doing this, you can do it and know what you want to go for. I always go for like the female persona and sexuality because that's just me, but you can do it with whatever. And also you can predict, know that you're going to get that from open-mindedness. Like, hey, look, let's just run through it really quick. Hey, would you say you're an open-minded person? And they, of course, say yes. Okay, everybody says that, but open-minded in a way where you truly delay judgment, where you truly like see the side of a person. Like, for instance, when you were a kid, like, what was the relative that you learned your biggest life lesson from, or the favorite one to be around where you just knew what love was? Who was that for you? Okay, your grandmother. So was there a time where you misunderstood her? Like where you interpreted something that she did, like, she was in pain or she was disappointed and you didn't know why grandma was doing this. But then it was like, as you got older, you got it. Or maybe as you moved on with your life and you had different experiences and you had loves or you had disappointment, you got it. And there was that immediate judgment you had as a kid, but then you understood later on. And see, what if you had that kind of understanding with things like your last boyfriend or a political situation or the fight that you had with your friend tonight or whatever it is, right? What if you were able to have that sort of like beautiful mindset? And so here's actually the real question is what is the best part about you where other people's judgment gets in the way? Like judgment from like your mom or your parents, and keeping you from that, or your last boyfriend, or, man, even just yourself. In fact, let me just ask you this, like, here's the real question. And this is it. Like, who is it that you are that if judgment didn't get to see, you could actually be that person? Like you, man, oh God, fuck. See, that's right there. That's beautiful. Like, you don't even need to say anything. Like, now you're an awesome person. Look, man, what the fuck? We just got way too carried away, totally crazy. But like, I'm just telling you, like, what I saw there was real. And I'm kind of guessing here, but I bet you've not experienced that with like another man. Like, I'm sure you've had great sex, or the last time, you had a really good kiss, but you would feel the world felt it and everything moved inside you, but it didn't like match up for the other guy. Man, that sucks. Like, you deserve beauty. That would be it. So we're using these in. You can do this in multiple different areas. You could even start off with a different qualifier. You could say something like, man, what's your favorite thing to do in the night? Oh man, I can't believe you just said that. Now I'm going to access a memory just so I could get her to understand what, my level of, in this case, the general, if we're going to the instant connection course, I'm going to get to the general idea. So you say, what's your favorite thing to do in the night? Oh, dancing. So, well, okay, wait. See, look, to me, experience is everything. It's like one of the best things. And so, like, I like dancing, I like going out. But when I was a kid, I used to sit on the porch and I look at the stars. I remember sitting next to two of my like best friends, this guy Scott and this guy Keith. And we were sitting there and we said, man, when I get older, all I want to do is do this. I don't want to be my parents. But then as I got older, I still have those experiences looking up at the stars and having that feeling, but it's different. And so experience changes. Like, are you with me here? You think about dancing or whatever, But like, when was the last time you experienced God, it was like you felt that adventure of a new person, like maybe on your last first date that actually went well. And then you had that time where, you felt like you might like this person, or the experience that like you tried something new and you were good at it. Maybe even the experience that you tried something new and it just didn't work and you hit that wall. But like, let me just ask you this. Like, what was how would you say, like, what does experience serve? Okay. Hard question to answer. So I'd say, like, actually, here's a better question. When was the last time you experienced something and you felt you and other people saw that? And what I mean is, what I really mean is, like, you felt you're out there on the dance floor and you felt your body, or you're out there at work or whatever it is, and other people saw you for you. And you were like, man, wow, it's all the same. I am great. This is great. The 5-year-old you, the 10-year-old, like all the dreams and ambitions of experience that you had were wrapped up in that moment. It's got to be a big one. Like, what was that for you? So again, I'm going in the same process, but I'd walk somebody to it. Same thing. Start out with a qualifier I knew I could predict I'd get a simple answer. Okay, was able to redefine it by accessing a memory. Then I listed 4, and then I was able to qualify hard, expect the confusion. Then instead of 3s, I listed 2, but it was enough to get there, and then qualify hard. And I double stack, describe further until I walked them into it. And it's something that anybody who's listening to this could like follow and get and imagine all those different things. And in order to imagine and experience all those different things, you'd have to be yourself, to which then I can qualify frame or state intent towards. Hopefully this is making sense. Again, anybody can get social dynamics. I know a ton of you guys are watching or listening to this thinking that it's too hard and too difficult, but these are what our programs are designed for, so that you can communicate with people at the highest level, communicate quickly and fast. And if you follow, the steps that we take, 2 to 3 months, depending on your skill set. If you have something like major social anxiety, you got to get rid of that first or work on it. But it's very much a reality for you to be able to do and accomplish in a short period of time and have those great social skills. So that's what this is about. So the membership's about. If you're more interested in these specific techniques, videos 3 and 4 in Formula 69, and really video 9 in Formula 69 to break down these advanced things. But in order to get the advanced stuff, you got to get the ones in 3 and 4 as well. All right. Thanks for watching.